In a distant period rooted in the sands of time, the land of Israel witnessed the rise of a figure whose reputation crossed the borders of the known world. Solomon, son of David, a revered warrior, not only succeeded his father on the throne, but also inherited a celestial gift of epic proportions. He possessed such keen discernment that it seemed divine, a boon that, according to narratives, was granted through a prophetic dream. Unlike many who would aspire for wealth or dominance, Solomon chose to ask for wisdom. This choice, marked by profound humility, greatly pleased the divine, who not only conferred upon him the desired wisdom, but also riches and honors that no other king before him had known. At the dawn of his reign, with the cunning of a born strategist, Solomon sought to consolidate his power not only through military conquests, but through meticulously architected diplomatic alliances. His preferred method was marriage. Thus he united in matrimony with princesses from distant kingdoms, each union bringing a non-aggression pact that secured peace among the involved nations. Over time, Solomon's harem expanded to include about 1,000 women comprising legitimate wives and concubines. These matrimonial ties, besides strengthening his position as monarch, were also a symbol of his foreign policy aimed at the stability and expansive peace of his empire, stretching from the majestic Euphrates River to the arid borders of Egypt. During the golden years of Solomon's reign, Israel enjoyed an unprecedented period of prosperity and peace. Under his wise and strategic leadership, the kingdom flourished in wealth and culture, becoming a hub of trade and wisdom. This golden era not only solidified Israel's position as a regional power, but also expanded its fame beyond its borders, attracting visitors from distant and exotic lands. Among these visitors was the Queen of Sheba, a monarch shrouded in mystery and possessing great wealth, who crossed deserts and seas with the intention of testing Solomon with riddles and questions that baffled even the most erudite. Enchanted by the lucidity and depth of Solomon's responses, as well as the opulence of his palace and the prosperity of his people, she could not help but present him with priceless treasures, rare spices, pure gold, and precious stones, tributes that recognized not just Solomon's supreme wisdom, but also the divine favor that seemed to envelop him. However, despite these signs of favor and success, Solomon's heart began to waver under the weight of his numerous political alliances. As time passed, he slowly deviated from the precepts that had elevated him to such heights. Influenced by the cultures and religions of his many foreign wives, Solomon made the grave mistake of introducing the worship of pagan gods within Israel. What began as a minor concession to please his consorts grew into a widespread practice, resulting in the construction of temples dedicated to deities alien to the God of Israel. These actions not only violated the central commandments of his faith, but also provoked the wrath of God. Solomon's fidelity, once seen as unwavering, was now questioned by both the wise and the clergy, creating a climate of disapproval that hovered over his reign. The shadow of divine disfavor began to extend over Israel, heralding an era of challenges and uncertainties for the kingdom, once a symbol of unity and celestial blessing. As the years advanced, the repercussions of Solomon's spiritual infidelity became increasingly evident. The alliance between the king and the divine, once the foundation of his prosperity and wisdom, was now weakened by the worship of foreign gods. God, in his unchanging justice, pronounced a severe judgment on the future of the kingdom. After Solomon's death, Israel would no longer remain united. The fissures in the political and spiritual fabric of the kingdom became apparent. Whispers of rebellion echoed among the tribes, while prophets, bearers of divine messages, warned of an imminent division. The people who once rejoiced in the wisdom and prosperity brought by their king now found themselves oppressed under the burden of exorbitant taxes and increasing demands necessary to sustain the extravagant court and the numerous construction projects of Solomon. In the twilights of his life, confronted with the reality of his choices and the legacy he would leave, Solomon turned to reflection and writing. The sacred chronicles narrate that he composed several works of profound wisdom and introspection, including the Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Song of Songs. These texts reveal a man on a ceaseless quest to understand the paradoxes of life, the ephemerality of prosperity, and the true meaning of adversity. He explored themes such as the vanity of earthly pleasures and the true essence of happiness, contrasting the material riches which he possessed in abundance with the spiritual treasures which he recognized as eternal. Solomon, despite his unparalleled wisdom, confronted the futility of seeking satisfaction solely in material goods and fleeting pleasures, leaving for future generations a lesson on the importance of seeking true wisdom and understanding, those that transcend materiality and touch the divine. As Solomon's end approached, a deep awareness of the weight of his choices enveloped him. The wise king, once blessed with divine gifts and a promise of ongoing prosperity, now faced the harsh reality that his transgressions would bring serious consequences for his people. The kingdom he had governed would soon be divided. 10 of the 12 tribes of Israel would separate, forming the northern kingdom, also known as Israel, while only 2 tribes would remain loyal to the house of David, forming the kingdom of Judah. This division was not merely a political consequence, but symbolized a deep spiritual fracture, a direct reflection of Solomon's decisions and deviations throughout his reign. Solomon's story, interwoven with moments of great splendor and deep sorrow, remains as an eloquent testimony to the consequences of our actions and the seriousness of divine promises. As Solomon lay on his deathbed, the grand monuments he had built, like the temple in Jerusalem, still resonated as symbols of his power and his initial faith. These magnificent constructions, once erected to honor God and solidify his kingdom, now also served as monuments of warning. They reflected not only past glories, but also the failures of a man who, though endowed with incomparable wisdom, succumbed to the temptations of complacency and compromise with practices that defied divine commandments. The impact of Solomon's choices reverberated far beyond his reign, extending through the centuries. Historians and theologians over the millennia have intensely debated Solomon's choices and the ambivalent legacy he left behind. His decisions shaped not only the political configuration of Israel, but also had a profound impact on the cultural and spiritual development of the region. The biblical narratives describing his life are rich in detail, capturing both his extraordinary achievements and his notable mistakes. These scriptures offer an incredibly honest and human portrait of Solomon, presenting him as a man whose existence was profoundly marked by contrasts and contradictions, a perpetual reminder that even the wisest among us can falter, and that redemption is often intertwined with recognition and repentance. The final message that Solomon's story conveys is deeply rooted in values of humility and recognition of our own human frailty. He, who at the dawn of his kingship humbly asked God for wisdom, ended his days under the shadow of the fractures that his own failures to adhere to this divine gift caused. The biblical account suggests that true wisdom is not found merely in vast knowledge or the exquisite skill of governing, but in the ability to remain faithful to the divine principles that underpin life and guide human relationships. This wisdom involves a constant alignment between actions and eternal values, a challenge that Solomon, despite his unmatched intelligence, found difficult to sustain throughout his reign. Therefore, Solomon's trajectory, marked by his 1,000 wives and a tragic conclusion, transcends the simple narrative of rise and decline. It is, above all, a meditation on power and its inherent pitfalls. This story resonates through the ages as a warning to those who hold power, alerting them to the dangers of arrogance and the loss of spiritual vision. The forgetting of the humble origins of his wisdom and the slide toward pride and self-sufficiency are illustrated in Solomon's life as clear and powerful warnings. This biblical narrative spares no details in showing how even the wisest of kings can succumb to the temptations of power and complacency, reminding leaders and all who seek to understand the complexity of the human condition that they can find in Solomon, both a mirror of their virtues and an echo of their potential failures. Thus, the lessons of Solomon's life serve as eternal guides for leadership and morality, emphasizing the importance of adhering to principles and values that transcend the immediate and the material. Every leader, every scholar, every person in search of wisdom, when looking to the ancient king of Israel, finds a rich source of learning in his virtues and his errors. Solomon's story teaches us that true power lies in the ability to govern not just kingdoms, but primarily the internal impulses and temptations that stray from the path of the greater good. Reflecting on his life, we are invited to meditate on the profound meaning of wisdom, justice, and integrity, elements that define not only the legacy of a leader but the very essence of humanity. And so, with profound reflections and eternal lessons, the book closes on King Solomon, whose life was an intricate tapestry woven with golden threads of divine wisdom and intermingled with dark stains of human failures. Solomon's narrative, rich in events and symbolism, invites us into deep introspection about our own choices and the enduring impact they can have not just on our lives, but also on the existence of those around us and those who succeed us. His legacy, composed of moments of enlightened wisdom and lapses of serious error, offers a unique perspective on the duality of human experience, on how greatness and fallibility can coexist within the same being. May Solomon's journey, marked by glorious highs and painful lows, serve as a beacon for all of us, illuminating our path through the complex and multifaceted tapestry of human existence. As we contemplate the story of Solomon, we are invited to reflect on the importance of balancing the pursuit of knowledge and power with the need for humility and adherence to ethical and moral principles. This balance is crucial, as each action we perform and each decision we make weaves another thread into the ongoing fabric of our lives and the communities in which we live. Thus, the stories of his unmatched wisdom and consequential deviations serve as a mirror for our own journey, reflecting the glories we can achieve and the dangers we must avoid. Solomon, in his complete humanity, teaches us that while we may aspire to greatness, we must always remain vigilant of the pitfalls that accompany power and success. His life reminds us that in the end, our true measure is not quantified by the treasures we accumulate or the splendor of our accomplishments, but by the fidelity to our values and the legacy we leave for future generations. May the story of Solomon resonate through the ages, serving as a guide for all those seeking true wisdom and a life lived with purpose and integrity.